Hi, I'm Daniel Rainey, and Ana Gonzalez and I would like to talk with you about the IMI ODR Standards for Online Mediators Task Force report.
Hello, my name is Ana Maria Maia Gonçalves. This video is about the ODR standards for online mediation, more specifically the core practical skills elements.
There are quite a number of them, and so we're going to mention a few as we go through, and we encourage you to take the time to stop, look at the items one at a time, and consider them in light of your own practice. So there are three areas we'll look at: general skills in mediation, skills related to technology, and skills related to online mediation processes.
The first set of skills covers the fundamental ones, without which a mediator will not perform online in a professional way. Mediators are required to be aware of the way online technology affects all the general skills they have learned. For instance, they need to be able to explain confidentiality in an online environment and have an ability to ensure privacy in such an environment.
Skills related to technology. One of those is working with platform setup. Being able to manage that technology adequately. You want to, as a mediator, have enough proficiency with the technology so that you can spend your attention on the parties and not on the technology itself. So you want to work with the way you set the operation up, you want to work with the way you set up the permissions, and you also want to be proficient in the operation of that technology.
Another good example of why skills related to technology are important is this one. Mediators need to reach a level of fluency with the platform that allows them to concentrate on the parties and the process, not on the technology.
One of the big things in e-mediation is understanding how to privately store digital information and communicate that information across parties. It's different from when you have people face-to-face and you're shredding paper after you're done and the paper is gone. When you use an online tool, you have to think about the legacy of that information, how you handle that, and how you explain that to the parties before they enter into the process with you.
The third set of skills is related to the online mediation process. Among other things, the mediator must be able to clearly explain the process and the technology to the parties, and to assess if the online environment is going to create or reinforce any power imbalance between the parties. As we will see on the next slides, the standards cover with more details the preparation, the conduct of the e-mediation, and the agreement phase.
You have to consider the parties are going to bring probably varying levels of understanding and technical knowledge to the online mediation. You have to consider that, you have to judge that, and you have to understand the level of knowledge that they need to communicate effectively using the platforms that you've chosen. So all of this is part of the preparation for e-mediation.
During preparation, the mediator needs to be able to have a conversation with parties about security and privacy, having in mind the capabilities of the available platform. Parties need to be able to make an informed choice about the platform and document their conversation in a protocol agreement.
I want to create an atmosphere where the use of ICT does not give the appearance that I'm pushing a point of view on the parties or that I'm engaged in some conflict of interest, where the parties understand the use of the technology, they agree with the technology that I've chosen, and they're voluntarily entering into the use of that technology. What you want eventually is to identify and get an agreement on the procedure that you're going to follow in case the technology breaks down, because the technology will eventually break down. It's just the way of the world, it always does. So you want to have essentially a plan B or a crisis plan that will allow you to say beforehand to the parties, before there is a problem, if there is a problem, this is what we're going to do. This is the procedure we're going to use if there's a problem with the technology.
In this third set of criteria related to the online mediation process, there are 12 skills needed during the mediation itself. Here, the best example is probably the ability to design the best online processing, take into account different variables of the mediation, including the needs of parties about ICT. The other skills are about making that process happen and being flexible and being agile.
There are things that I can do online that I can't do offline. For example, if I'm working with multi-parties, I can set up a situation where those parties can enter information, give me ideas, and put ideas on the table in a way that is anonymous. And you can't do that when you're sitting around the table face to face. I can set up a brainstorm session so that people have time to consider the options they're putting in the brainstorm and be more creative and take advantage of reading other people's ideas and having them generate even more ideas. So there are things that I can do online that I can't do offline, and I need to learn how to take advantage of those.
On this last slide, we will emphasize the importance of ethics. Mediators need to be mindful about the impact of the technology on ethics and their own biases.
And finally, you want to ensure that parties have given their informed consent. You want to understand the technology enough yourself, understand the way it's used and what the impacts are, be able to explain that to the parties adequately so that they can enter into the process with you in a way that guarantees informed consent and guarantees that they'll be able to work on their issue and their problem.
The last section is dedicated to the post-mediation process. We have identified two specific criteria here. Online mediation is a unique environment to collect feedback data right after the session, or even as part of the session in the last minutes. And the follow-up can also be done online, once again, leveraging technology. I hope that the last few minutes gave you a good idea of what we have tried to achieve with our work on skills. The practical skills developed by the IMI ODA task force serve a dual purpose. They help define best practice in online mediation, and they are a guide to ensuring that parties who work with online mediators are well served. We encourage you to refer to IMI ODA knowledge and skill framework and to share them with your colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your attention.